Welcome to the Playtime podcast, episode 10. It's the end of the year, and we have to do our 2024 awards. Does each one of you want to give your little summary of the year? What the year's been like? Start with you, Graeme. You seem to be nodding.
No, it's been good. It's been really good.
Do you know the picture of Playtime behind you is not? It's kind of tilting.
I don't know what's happening, if there's any comedy going on.
Yeah, it was better, but Mario, do you want to sum up the year?
Playtime year.
Yeah.
It's been a good one. Yeah, it's been a really good one. We did lots of streaming, lots of videos. We did lots of recording. We did put together a recording of the lockdown sessions, which is amazing, and has got really good response, reviews, and audience response and stuff. And it's been a brilliant year. And just when we thought that was it for the funding, we got some more, and that's brilliant because it means we can keep doing what we've been doing, which is really good. And yeah, it's been a good year. We've done some great gigs, had some great guests, people I never played with before, which is really cool. Yeah.
Wow.
It's been a good one. It's been a bumper
I'd
year.
say it's been in the top 10.
Top 10, definitely.
Playtime
It's the top 10 so far.
Strongly inside the top 10.
Of course, yeah, it was the 10th anniversary, wasn't it? So that was cool. Amazing.
Mario.
Yes.
You got anything you want to say in your summary of the Playtime year?
I second everything that Martin said, but I would like to emphasize the release of the Morse code through the lights as a highlight, and has been really exciting. It was a wonderful initiative, and it took a lot of your time and effort, and you did a stellar job on the mixing and putting it together. But it was a real correlation of our sessions, and I don't think there's anything like that in the world. I would say I haven't seen anybody else do the same thing, and because it's so unique, I think we should kind of celebrate that, because it is something that really changed our perspective in our lives during the lockdown, and possibly the lives of the audience as well. And it's come out as one of the best jazz albums of the year by Jim
And the
Scotsman. Yeah. So that was really cool, and I think real celebration of something that was fighting stillness and doom in a creative way.
Yeah, and I'd like to say how wonderful our live audience are. They continue to be, and they keep supporting us and coming out, and I think it's really cool. It's a wonderful. It's like being part of a little community that's just very, very positive, and I appreciate it. I appreciate the community of us and this wider community of the audience, and there's other community of the musicians that come in and play with us. So altogether, that's like these three rings of cheese, different kinds of cheese on a giant cracker of joy. It's like a sort of snack, really good snack.
An excellent snack.
So should we move on to the awards? I know that it's difficult to keep the excitement contained.
I know. It's super. I unfortunately I can't see any of the three of you. So
Well, I mean, you can barely see anybody because they're moving so fast around. So much. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 categories so far. I'll just list the categories and then we'll go through them one by one. Best gig, audience member of the year, best guest, best crustacean. Well, there's a proposal for best crustacean based solo, which we can discuss if it's in
best what?
Crustacean.
Like a lobster.
Yep.
Not just like a lobster.
Like
Well, I think
a lobster doing a bass solo.
I'm not sure. There was definitely a drum solo with a lobster at one point, and that's definitely got to be in the frame for that award. Anyway, we'll come back to it. It's just the agenda. Best solo, and that was it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unless you've got any other categories to add, Mario.
No, I think you've added enough categories. You've added enough categories there. We're not really missing categories. There's quite enough, I would say. I would think.
Okay, so shall we get on with best gig?
Yes.
Yep. I'm just scrolling through what we've done.
Can you refresh our memories?
Right. So it's looking like the first one was the quartet in January, and then Harry Weir, Stu Brown. Actually, Stu Brown would certainly be in the running for me. I thought that was amazing. I absolutely loved that one.
Had a strong crustacean-based element.
And was that where that happened? So
yes.
It could be, it could be a two-bagger, that one. It could be a two-bagger. John Green we had in March there. Laura McDonald did one. I don't think I was on that one. Oh, we did a Miles Davis tribute. Tango night, that was good.
Yeah.
The Threadgill, again, that would be in the running for me. It was just such a unique experience that it was amazing, and music that I never really come across. So that would definitely win. Rachel Dunn's
Anishka Nangai was great.
Michelle
Willis
tribute. Wayne Shorter tribute. Kevin McKenzie.
Yeah, Michelle was good.
Oh yes. I think that's
Don Patterson.
Yeah, Timmy Allen. That was great. Yeah, I think.
And then David.
Alan Benzie and Elliot
Hafter.
And then there was Hafter. And
then
Dave Mulligan.
Yeah, that was great. Last week, that was lovely.
Dave Mulligan was very, very good. Wasn't live stream though.
I think for me, the Stu Brown one would be the one for me.
Graeme?
Ooh, tough. I would say Henry Threadgill one.
Tom?
I'm gonna go Threadgill.
Oh.
Obviously, I had a large stake in that, and fries, and but I also felt that the Fab Four, and by Fab Four I mean you three, stepped up and on the gig, and I was proud of you. I felt you came to play, you came to combat with all of your weapons. I'm trying to put into words how I felt. I felt that you all kind of stood up, and yeah. So I loved the rest of the band, like Chung and Robert and Nushi.
And Nushi, yeah, totally.
It was just, yeah. I mean, so that's my vote is for that.
Okay. Well, I'd be happy to go with that. That or Stu would be. They were my two
Well,
favorites.
Mario still has to
I'd be
vote.
happy to go with that. Then.
Yeah.
Are you speaking as if Mario doesn't get a vote there, Marty?
I'm
No,
not.
this
No.
is not.
But my initial choice was Stu. Was the Stu Brown one? But
Well,
but I'd be happy to go with Threadgill if that's the. If
this is like the Eurovision Song Contest. You know, you've already made your vote.
Oh,
And
okay.
then you start changing your vote. Obviously, I put quite a lot of passion in, and I know that's swayed you, and it's sort of. But you've already made your vote. I don't
All right,
think
fair
you can
enough.
change your vote at this point.
Okay.
You can't go, Norway 0 point and then change your mind after your vote.
Well, no, I'm not saying. I'm just saying if it ended up that the majority went for that one and that was the winner, I would be happy with that. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So if Mario goes with that, then it's three of us going for
You
Threadgill.
might go to Stu Brown, and then we're in a tie-break situation.
Yes, I'm thinking that I don't want to make any process any more difficult than it has to be, and both gigs were really amazing, and I do concur with the fact that the band was really cool, and you did have I would say more than a steak and fries. I think you had the entire barbecue on that gig, but you pulled off admirably, and you poured your heart and soul into that, and it paid off. Even though if it generated quite a few interesting comments from the audience, from the online audience.
Did it?
But yeah, it did, didn't it?
No. Well,
Was it the Stu Brown gig that generated the
Stu Brown. The Stu Brown gig coincided with us running a Facebook ad, which meant that there were some elements of the Stu Brown gig that was promoted across Facebook, and therefore it got middle-aged men called Dave slagging it off. But I don't think that was anything to do with Stu Brown's gig or the music. It was to do with the fact that an algorithm was pushing more experimental music at middle-aged men called Dave.
Yes, Dave. But I do think that Dave actually made a comment regarding the Threadgill gig as well.
I don't recall that, but
well, in any case, I think that both gigs were memorable, as Martin said, and the Threadgill, just by the sheer endeavor and size of it, and also being a double drumming thing, probably takes the pineapple for me.
So if the two top gigs of the year were both double drum gigs, should we have two drums on every gig?
No, thank you. That is enough.
What about a two bass gig?
No.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
Really?
We had two guitars, we had two saxophones, we had two drums. Why not have two basses?
Okay, the door is now open.
Yeah, door's always open. Always being open.
Right, so we've got a decision. I think we've got a decision there. I'll add some music in here. Like a sort of kind of music. Maybe you could compose it, Graeme. Now you've got a PhD in composition.
I don't know.
Ah.
Take it.
So
Take it. Yeah.
Should we go on to the next category?
Yeah.
Audience Member of the Year. Now, the first question is, can people win it twice?
I don't know.
Well, yes, but I think that there's so many potential candidates that it'd be nice to sort of, have a different one each year. I mean, yeah. So
I
think
think
somebody who's not won it before.
Ivan has one, has it?
Yeah, he won an online one.
Carolyn has one as well.
Yeah.
I'd say Adrian would get my vote this time
Okay.
because he's such a consistent presence, and also he loves taking pictures, and the pictures are usually really nice and beautiful.
Very beautiful.
And therefore, he is adding a crucial element of creativity from the audience into the gig, which is really cool.
Yep. He's definitely a contender. Graeme, you got an audience member you'd like to put forward?
I'll go with that. Same as Mario. Adrian.
Well, I've got two names I'd like to throw into the ring.
But they're all good. They're all good.
The first one is an audience member who's been coming right from the beginning and has shown a lot of dedication. Quite hard to read in terms of emotion, and doesn't say much. But I'm talking about Colin the dog. Has been coming the entire 10 years. His owners, Jane Ann and Douglas. And the other person I'd like to put into the ring is Blair.
Yeah.
Because Blair comes nearly every week and he sits to the front, he's totally into it, gives it to my top.
Sure.
Marty, are you going to nominate anybody? You're going to chip in?
Well, yeah, I think Blair's a good shout. I also think Adrian's a good shout, actually. Adrian.
Yeah.
I think Adrian is a good shout. He's very dedicated, but he's also, I mean, he's contributed some jazz facts as we've gone along as well, which have been educational and entertaining. And his pictures are lovely, and he's given us all hard framed copies of pictures he's taken. Which
that could be seen as bribery.
Well, I don't think he would see it in that way. And
there might be a post towards, legal action. Colin might take out an injunction.
I don't think Colin's going to mind.
So should we have a final vote then?
I think all votes are final, Tom.
Well, we've got an Adrian, a Blair, a Colin, an Adrian. So that means Adrian.
I think simple majority would point that way.
Great. Okay. Adrian is the winner. I'm sure he'll be delighted. Right, next category, best guest.
Yeah. Okay.
Marty?
Remember again who we had.
We can have a best memory category.
Yeah, that's not going to be me. Yeah, can you come back to me?
Didn't we do Ben McDonald this year?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
Did you mention that?
Yes, I did. I think I did.
He was a good guest.
Yeah, I wasn't on that gig, but I'm sure he was great.
Well, I thought
you were on it. You were on it, man.
Oh no, I was on it. Yeah, of course I was. Of course I was. I'm thinking of something else. Yes. No, he was great. It was great tunes. He was really great. And that was the first time he'd done it, wasn't it? Or was it? Yeah.
I'd like to put forward two people.
Why two?
Well, because we're having a little discussion and I can't decide.
Well, make your mind up and vote.
I don't think we should vote straight away. I think we should discuss, put names into the hat, and then vote.
Okay.
So I'd like to put 2 names into the hat. Laura McDonald, because she just had this kind of just gravitas. It was like, this is a real amazingly, completely all around, fully developed, mature, fantastic musician. The tunes, the playing, just this sort of presence that she has. But she was amazing. And then the other person was Dave Milligan, who actually, in a way, was similar, just this mastery of the craft. Fantastic tunes, beautiful charts. What a credible player. I mean, there was loads of people that we could talk about, but that's jumping out to me right now. I'd like to put into the pot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, Helena. We did that.
Helena was 2023 though.
Oh, was it? Oh, you're right. Yeah, right at the end. Right at the end of 2023. Sorry. Yeah, I scrolled too far down. Timmy, I thought was great. Timmy Allen, as well, just as another option. I was blown away by his playing, and he seems just comfortable in any setting. It was great.
And he was only asked and agreed the night before.
Totally. And he totally came with loads of really great ideas and was up for doing free stuff, which was really cool.
And he won the Young Jazz Musician of the Year.
Yeah, well deserved, I think.
Indeed.
I mean, possibly because he did Playtime. I mean, maybe it's because he did Playtime that he won that.
No.
Graeme, have you got any votes? Any names you want to put into the ring?
No, I couldn't pick one. They're all great. So I don't think they're all great. So I'll vote for everyone.
No, you have to vote for one once we come to the vote.
No, man, I'm not doing it. I vote for everyone.
No.
You only get one vote.
That's my vote. Everyone.
I think you're subverting the process, Graeme, or trying to.
It's okay.
No.
I'm not subverting the process, man. I just don't. I couldn't possibly pick.
If you can't vote for one person, no one's going to get the award.
Oh my God.
It'll be your fault.
We're getting fighting talk here now.
Nah, man. No.
Really?
Yeah.
He's abstaining. He's abstaining.
I'm abstaining, yeah.
What about if I randomly give? We've got 3 names in the hat: Dave Mill, Laura McDolly, Timmy Allen. I'll randomly give them a number 1 to 3, and you just say a number. How would that work?
Okay.
So you're not being accused of favoritism.
Okay.
You're just like a donkey that's standing on an apple, with no knowledge of what it's doing, and that apple gets Apple of the Year.
Right. Okay.
So I've given them numbers. What number are you going for?
4.
Oh no!
Between 1 and 3, Graeme.
He's not going to play ball. Graham's not playing ball on this one.
5.
Oh no!
Okay. All right. Well, let's just carry on as if that didn't happen.
What's that you say, Graeme? 3? Okay then, Tom.
I think that's Dave Milligan.
Oh well.
So 1 for Dave Milligan. Okay. Marty, what are you voting for?
So it's between Dave, Laura, and Timmy. It's just really, really hard.
We could do like MasterChef. We could just have a joint winners.
I think that might be the best way of doing it. Because I wouldn't be able to choose between those 3. I thought they were all great.
I think of just to try and maybe bridge Graeme's dogness no doggedly,
Doggedness.
doggedness,
Oh, sorry.
because you're like, nah, I'm not gonna, nah. So I would say that the joint award for the three would actually make a really interesting solution to the problem.
We're going to have to spend much more money on the engraving. And it's,
That is probably okay.
it's going to use up 3 years of space on the trophy, which means the trophy currently has 60 years worth of space left, and it's going to be used up 2 years quicker, which means we have to buy a new trophy in 58 years' time.
I think we can live with that.
Oh, we didn't mention Byron.
Oh my God, that's right.
It was Doggy Mammon that won, and at the Jazz Festival.
Yeah.
Played with Byron.
Holy moly, that was a special one.
Really good one. It was great. God, that's really hard.
Anybody want to change their vote after that?
God, we need to really rewind everything from the beginning now. No, we don't.
It's like at primary school where everyone has to get a certificate. So everyone gets a certificate, and it effectively means nobody gets a certificate.
It's tricky.
You're now proving Graeme's point like time and time again. Every
Basically,
board you
all
say.
three of you are refusing to vote for anybody.
No, I'm not. I would say that, since you've actually brought it, I would vote for the Byron, because he was very cool and he was like totally into the spirit of the Playtime, and he was not only contributing, but he was playing his ass off, and he was like super fun. So there was just nothing that was not likable about that. So I'm gonna subvert the process and then throw Byron and vote for it.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
I could go with that.
Okay, we've got a winner.
I mean, I was just thinking about the outhouse, obviously, and which is silly because that's not all we did this year, and of course that was a highlight. It was great.
Okay. Right, so Byron's the winner for that.
Okay.
Okay, now we come on to, first of all, are we going to have a best crustacean-based solo category?
You're gonna have to explain that category first.
Last year, I didn't win any prizes. So, expecting to not win anything again, I decided to try and put in a category which only I could compete in, because I did a solo with a lobster. In the Stu Brown gig. Wasn't just with a lobster, it was with quite a few other things and a lobster. Not a real lobster, plastic lobster.
But you said crustacean based solo.
Based. That would confuse you. I'm going to get the lobster, it's right here.
I can't see anything, but the audience maybe can.
Oh,
You're right.
all right, yeah.
Yeah, I'm all right. This is the said lobster. And so I it's just, are we making it a category or not?
Well, I guess.
I don't feel like it's up to me to
I guess you
Make
really
it
do need
category.
an award, and if that is the case, then the best lobster-based solo is perfect. I vote for your solo with the lobster.
Yeah.
Graeme?
Me too. Yeah. Although, you know, I don't want to have any favoritism. You know what I mean? There was probably other good fish-based solos, but we'll go for that one.
Well, yeah, but fish-based is a different category. So if you want it to be fish-based, but what other fish-based solos were there?
Couldn't pick one out. You know what I mean?
Laura McDonald brought halibut along, didn't she? As you can remember. That was good.
Marty?
Yeah, let's do it.
It was good.
Yeah.
You won, Tom.
Well done, Tom.
Thank you,
Great
guys.
work. But I'm telling you, 2025.
Do you have anything
I'm
to
gonna
say
bring
to
it
the
to
audience about your
Thank my
award?
lobster, Harry, and my parents, the whole ocean. I'd like to thank the whole ocean, and don't forget the ocean. Okay, thanks. Right, cool. So we go on to best solo, non-crustacean. Obviously, the big solo prize is gone, but this is for all other solos.
All by everybody, guests and everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll need to listen to them all.
Just remember that some of you here get solos on virtually every song, and other people get one or two a night, if that. But anyway, that's why it's good to have another category that sort of balances that up. So,
Sure.
Oh, it's so hard to. This is a hard one. I have to say, I did think. I mean, it's fresh in my memory, I suppose, but I thought Dave Milligan played some absolutely killing solos last week. I mean, just out of this world. I was just watching, going, blimey, So, I mean, obviously that's fresh in my memory, but it was outstanding.
Yeah.
But there'll be so many others. It's really hard.
Kevin McKenzie played some amazing shit.
Yeah, I mean,
in the start of September, it was him and Graeme just tore the place apart.
Yeah,
with their guitar laser beams.
Guitar Sam.
Yeah.
Any other candidates?
I'd go for Mario.
What?
Some great solos,
Yeah.
Can you think of a particular?
Mario solos are always great.
And he's usually on his own when he plays a solo. I would go for that.
It's actually a real solo, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Got a bunch of people fanning around behind him. It's
Very robust, very robust.
Very robust, powerful.
Okay, I'm happy to go with Mario. But it would be good though to pick an actual specific solo. Obviously, there's so many to choose from, but
Oh my god.
that's too difficult. I mean,
Yeah.
they're all good.
Yeah.
Everyone's solos were good, but you know, Mario played on his own most of the time, so that's pretty good.
A solo.
yeah.
Proper solo, yeah.
Oh god.
well, I thought there was one solo that you did this year where you did a sort of kind of
Oh yeah.
thing that you'd never done. I never heard you do ever before.
The what?
You did a sort of, you know what I'm talking about?
Mm.
I was going, I never heard that before. I think I commented about it on the mic afterwards.
How did I do it?
It was a sort of particular sound you did on the bass that I'd never heard you do before.
Mm.
And it was really cool.
Was it with electronics or not?
No, definitely not.
Right. Okay. Well, I don't particularly remember, but cool. It must have had make an impression. Yeah. Oh well, you know.
Maybe we should change the categories very slightly to outstanding soloing throughout the year award.
Oh yeah, okay.
That's different, you know.
Yeah, with Graeme will draw his vote if that's the case.
No. You still got my
Withdraw your vote.
Yeah, Mario gets it.
Mario, yeah, Mario.
Oh, I am touched and honored. Thank you, guys.
Okay. Yeah, well done, Mario.
Thank you.
You'll get it next year, Tom. Don't worry. You'll get best solo next year. And you got the crustacean thing this year, you know.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
you're not going away empty-handed.
my cup over. I wasn't being sarcastic there. I'm delighted for the fella.
Yeah.
You know.
I just sensed a slight bit of disappointment in your face.
No.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'm absolutely made up for him. And
Bottom of your chin there, it's like
there was a bit of a wobble. Wobbly lip.
great. Well, I think that wraps it up. What a great note to finish on. Finish 2024, and let's surge forward into 2025, onward and upwards. And once we stop recording, we're going to decide our program for next bit. So, but we can say goodbye to our viewers or viewer.
Bye, Mum.
Bye.
So I hope you enjoyed that awards chat with all the guys. And next up, we've got an interview with Calum Gourlay, and part of the Isle of Jazz Festival Special Edition. And I had the opportunity to interview a wonderful Scottish jazz musician who's moved to London, become one of the leading players on the UK scene. And as always, been interested in talking about the life of the jazz musician, particularly from a Scottish perspective, the choices that we make about where we live, and what's it like as a career, all those sort of issues. What's it like to be a bass player? And Calum's a really, really fantastic musician and a very interesting guy, so it was really nice to talk to him. I hope you enjoy very much the conversation. Here's Calum Gourlay. Yeah. I'm not very professional.
All right. Let's wait for the truck.
Well, the trucks are... So, Calum Gourlay, we're on Isla, and we're sitting on a light blue table looking at this beautiful sandy beach in the sun.
Amazing, right? Incredible weather,
Isn't it?
yeah. Surreally beautiful. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is really beautiful. And so I was thinking about what I wanted to ask you. So I kind of feel like you're becoming a bit of a elder statesman. I always, because you're younger than me, I always sort of use
Right.
this sort of young guy.
Right.
But now there's all these other young guys that are younger than you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're sort of moving up the. How's that feel?
Well, for the record, I'm 38.
So you're neither young nor old.
No, not yeah. So yeah, it's in the middle. I mean, it feels great. It feels great hearing all these guys like Connor Murray, who's playing last night. I heard him play last night with you guys, with Paul and Chad and yourself. It sounds amazing. You know, it's like, yeah, it's inspiring. You know, it sort of makes me want to practice, but not in that terrified, you know, middle-aged insecure way. It's like, oh yeah, it's, you know, it's
Well, that's
exciting,
kind of beautiful.
you know.
I feel I try and feel that way. And I once met I don't know if you know Brian Abrams, the South African drummer.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And he said, "You young guy," I can't do his accent. But you young guys.
No, I think you should persevere.
Well,
with it.
it's South African. You young guys, you make me want. You inspire me like that. And I thought he must be like 10, 15 years older than me, I guess. And I thought I want to be like that when I get older. So that's what I'm trying to do. And I think it works. Rather than there's all these people moaning about not getting enough gigs.
Yeah.
And we know who we're talking. So you're feeling like that?
Yeah, I also think, like, you know, if you take your eye off what younger musicians, I mean, you know, what people, like, you know, what musicians in their 20s are into, then it's kind of your loss, really, because they're into so many different things.
They're into a new layer of things that, yeah, I think that's a really good point.
You know, I mean, there's one way, like, you know, I'm still practicing as much as I can, and, like, you know,
How often do you practice?
I try and practice every day. I don't put a sort of an hour limit on it, but I'll never be one of these people that's just gone into a room for like 6 hours straight and come out again. So I do like little bits and pieces here and there.
Are you allowed to practice while watching the TV?
I used to play long notes with the bow and watch Star Trek at the same time.
Particularly Star Trek.
Particularly Star Trek, because I knew that's like 45 minutes.
So you'd play a note for 45 minutes?
I'd play a note for, I play them for as long as I can, you know, like just bow and
I guess you could
open
play a note.
string.
How long could you play a note? You could play a note for a whole
forever,
day.
yeah.
Well, you'd have to go to the toilet and stuff.
Yeah, well,
You could sit on a commode.
or some sort of knowledge nappy,
Is there like a Guinness
For the
World
longest
Record
note.
for the taking?
I don't know. I bet it's a trumpet player who's done it. If it's any instrument, I bet.
Well,
they've-
with circular breathing.
yeah, I bet there's something like that. But
I was once in a music shop in Normandy, run by this drummer who had the world record for the longest drum solo, and it was 24 hours.
wow, okay, right.
And he was there, and I went up to him and said, "I'm a jazz drummer." And he went, "Uh huh." I said, "You know your world record drum solo?" And he went, "Yeah." I went, "Was it any good?" And he looked at me like, "Fuck off."
What kind of? I assume it's more rock and roll.
Yeah, you just
Rock
thought
and
this has
roll.
got to be the shittest
Yeah,
thing.
how
I mean, it's
strange.
probably really shit for the whole 24 hours.
Yeah.
I may be being mean. It might have been great.
Well, yeah, 24 hours. It's a chance he might have improvised in that, something that he's
You'd
never
hope
played
so.
before.
You'd hope so. But I don't know how he dealt with the toilet break thing in the middle of a drum solo. Let's not even think about that. But are you allowed to play long notes while watching Star Trek when your partner's watching Star Trek with you?
Oh no, it was a solo endeavour. It was a,
Okay.
you know.
Because I'm not allowed to. Because my favourite thing is practicing the Baran while watching TV, and my wife won't let me do it. And she crochets when we're watching TV,
Right.
which does make a sort of
I was slightly
noise.
quieter.
Well, don't take her side. I was hoping you were going to back me up. And so what I feel of you like you're like a master bass player now.
Oh man.
No, I really do. You kind of got there, and I'm sure you're going to carry on getting better. But it's like you've got there. You've got that sort of real
Oh man.
serious bass player thing about.
That's
going
very
on.
kind, man.
Do you think that? I'm not trying to kiss your ass, Callum. I'm just trying to get down to the.
I mean, I think it's I don't know. I think I like how easy some things feel on the bass now. That used to be really challenging.
Yeah.
Like just little technical things like shifting position and like doing big, thumb position, like stuff that I've really, really worked on. And when you're sort of young in your 20s, you don't really notice how good you're getting. I see it now with students I teach. Between like January and March of a year, they get so much better, but I don't think they
don't realise it necessarily.
But now I feel like all these things have a benefit of like making it. It's actually some things are pretty easy on the bass for me now.
Yeah.
But that comes with sitting on your own in the room with a double bass, and it also comes from just experience, just doing lots of gigs, having a lot of like mileage under your belt.
But I think there's something really interesting about when you're playing at a quite high level, the things that make at that stage make you get better, I'm feeling like for me some of it's a mindset thing.
Yeah.
If you there's a thing about worrying about you're doing it well enough.
Yeah.
But that can easily become a sort of negativity thing that sort of shuts ideas down.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Do you have an internal dialogue that you have to stop or manage in any way that's?
Yeah, I do. I think So I have I'm not sure. I think that it's interesting what you're saying, because I think the longer I play, playing music for, I sort of realise it's a mental discipline, really.
Yes.
It's not. There is a bit of physicality involved in it, but like the double bass is a good example. It's actually, there are ways to play it that are pretty ergonomic. There's some physical tough things in it, like playing in thumb position, playing high. There's like a few techniques that are a bit, but it's not physically demanding, really. So it's sort of in your brain, in your head,
And there's these things almost like social decisions in terms of being in a collective improvisation setting, even if it's quite, set by a tune, even if it's not completely free, but you're still making all these decisions about how you're interacting with other musicians, and that ends up being quite complex when you add it all together.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, but that's what doing gigs teaches you. Definitely taught me. It's like as soon as you start doing gigs with people who are way, way better than you, it sort of answers a lot of questions, if you know what I mean. It's sort of like all of a sudden, how do you actually play with a drummer? There he's there. I can see what he's doing. I can hook up with him. I can hear. What is that? What does that chord actually sound like in the bridge of this tune? And someone plays it, and it sort of answers that question. And that how long do people solo for? All those little. How long should you do a solo for? All those little decisions. They're from gigs, really. I think. I mean, you can sort of emulate them when you're learning and in the classroom and stuff, but. I don't know. I feel like So I feel like there is like a sort of dialogue in my head going, where are we in the form? Is this the right set of notes? Am I playing in time with the drums? Am I in the same place as the piano? But another thing I have is like before I play, like if someone calls a tune, like I sort of have a little list for some standards, some sort of set of unusual standards, a little mantra that I'll go through in my head, just make sure I know it. Like I don't know, Cherokee. The bridge goes up. The bridge starts with a 2-5-1 up a semitone. So just in like a fraction of a second, like milliseconds.
You're preparing the future for that.
Yeah, little list just goes bang, bang, bang. Right, there's go. So
it'd be really good if you could get some kind of readout of the thoughts of jazz musicians, instead of the transcription of the notes they play. Getting a readout of their thoughts. Because sometimes it probably would be completely blank.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's no thought happened at all. Their body just played that bit completely. It might have been thinking about a sandwich or something.
Yeah, absolutely. Autopilot's kind of a big thing for me. Like,
Autopilot, the German
German
fighter pilot.
Second World War. Yeah.
Otto von Richtensteiner.
The Red Baron.
Yeah.
I sort of have this. I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing to have it, because definitely there's some things.
I think it's a good thing.
Well, some things are you can't. There's a bit of autopilot and everything. You don't have to remind yourself of every single technical.
Do you know the concept of embodied knowledge?
No.
It's really nice. It's kind of like the classic example is riding a bicycle, which you can't really explain to somebody in words, You can't learn it from reading a book.
Right. Okay.
You know how to do it, but you can't really explain it. But you just know how to do it, and it's actually your body knows how to do it.
Right.
It's a skill that your body has rather than your conscious mind.
Okay.
And there's a lot of people talking about how improvisation is this interface between a sort of conscious mind that's making decisions and this vocabulary that's kind of in your body. And there's quite an interesting research paper that I just read where they interviewed a whole bunch of elite improvisers. They didn't say who they are. They don't get any names, but talking about what do you think about when you're improvising, and do you plan in advance what you're going to play, or does it just? And there was this really spread of different answers, but one guy said, sometimes I just feel like God is speaking through me.
Right. Okay. Right.
Obviously a saxophone player. You can tell right away that's a saxophone player.
Yeah, I've never had that experience.
No, God not speaking through you.
I have that. That's occasionally, like once a year, there'll be a thing where it's like, I don't know where that came from in my playing.
Right.
You know? I feel slightly out of body for about, 10 seconds, and like I can't pinpoint where I transcribed it or who I stole it off. That once. Like,
but isn't it possible to play things you've never played before, just because that's happened?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I don't know. I mean, it probably does happen more often than you think, but I think of my own playing, but there's definitely times where it feels like it comes from nowhere, from absolutely nowhere, But then you realise, then you sort of, I don't know, have a slight out of body experience, and then you sort of zoomed right back in, I don't know.
I think it's a very beautiful thing. I know I'm never going to get bored of either doing it or talking about it or thinking about it, teaching it.
It's great. I think a lot of the free guys I've heard, they definitely, and I've talked to, and I've met, been lucky to hang out with, they have stuff prepared, but they put it together in a different order every time.
Sure.
But
it's a language, so you learn a vocabulary, and you learn. You have things in your body that are ready to come out. But they come out. It's like we're talking. We're not planning what we're going to say.
No.
I'm not planning what I'm saying right now.
No.
I mean, the thing I'm about to say now, this thing isn't something I planned.
Yeah, and if you think too hard about it, and this, if you think too hard about it, it can become quite hard to speak publicly. For that reason, do you know what I mean? You sort of forget to, open your mouth,
Right. So I have another question about. I mean, that's really interesting because I actually think we jazz musicians talk about this stuff that much. You talk about it when you're teaching, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
To people, but
it's another great thing about meeting, being a teacher and meeting all these young people. They make you think about things in a way you just never thought of before.
Yeah,
they
no,
always
totally.
Come in with questions that are just like, I've never even thought of that.
Well, I've been teaching at in Napier University for 3 years, and I think it's had a huge positive impact on my playing.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
The kind of work I've had to do to get everything up to just so I can explain it. I've had to finish a whole bunch of unfinished projects. Like it's like having a half-built gazebo in your garden and a half-built decking and stuff, and I've got to finish all these things because someone's coming round.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then I finished them all. So actually, the garden looks great now.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So my other question was, it's this bit of it isn't the question, but this is just. Your dad is a really great jazz educator. I've worked with him, and he's a really cool guy, and he's really great. He's really great at teaching jazz to beginners and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm a little bit interested to know whether he taught you or because my son didn't want to learn anything from me.
Right. Okay.
I'm quite a good teacher, but he didn't want to get taught by me at all. And he was like, "You're all right, Dad. It's fine. Fuck off. I'm going to learn this on my own."
Yeah.
But then you're one of the guys that have really gone down to London and really cracked it and sort of become one of the top players down there, which is I'm very proud of you for doing that.
Oh man.
And so there's that. I guess there's that sort of story there from a bit about your dad and what his role was, and then what it's been like going down to London and being Scottish and playing. That's a 2-part question.
That's good. I like it. So my dad did teach me quite a bit at one stage, and then I sort of his words were like, "I can't teach you anymore. Now you're at now you're you know
You're
if you're really
better.
going to go down this route,
You've got to get other people.
You've already already know more than me. I mean, he's a good. You'd like to say his talent is with teaching younger people, which I find very challenging. Actually, I found that's the hardest kind of teaching. People under 15, it's like very tough. You need to be really on the ball. Whereas like people who are a bit older, they're already hungry for it. So
Yeah.
an hour a week isn't enough really. They would pin you down for a whole day. So yeah, and also he did. He like when I started out playing classical music really, and he would accompany me on the piano. And like try and fix little things that go wrong.
wear lederhosen and was it like Sound of Music?
Yeah.
Did he have a whistle?
Yeah,
when
I'm one of 7. A massive family.
And you close part harmony.
Actually, my brother and sister they do play instruments, but they don't become musicians. My sister studied art, and my brother's an actor.
Oh, cool.
So they both went down different things. Really, they both went to. I think they both went to FIJO as well, FIJO Jazz Orchestra, just after me. But yeah. So it was amazing. Different. It was always a joke growing up that it'd be a musician, an artist, and an actor, and it sort of panned out that way, really. Which was kind of bizarre.
A musician and an actor walked into a house
and couldn't afford it because they don't earn enough money and no one would give them a mortgage.
Yeah.
What was the second part of
it? Was about moving to London and cracking it and just becoming a top London guy.
Yeah. Well,
as a Scottish jazz musician.
It's well, it was yeah. So I went to the Royal Academy, and that was just a way to get your foot in the door of a different scene, basically. In fact, I was thinking about it's been 20 years, almost to the day, since I moved to London, pretty much.
And how long was the course there?
4 years.
And did you start playing with everybody you studied with?
Yeah.
Is that a big part of it?
I think it's the most important part of it. I think it's the biggest part of it. It's like that's the reason you're there.
You get a tribe.
You get a degree, and you get like. You have to sit and show exams and stuff, but like, yeah, it's just to get to know people, and I still play with a lot of those people in the city.
So who was there with you?
Well, my year was a great trumpet player called Freddie Gavita, who I still see a lot. A great drummer called Josh Blackmore.
Oh yeah,
who's amazing.
Plays with Tom Bancroft.
Yeah, and he's like, a few years ago he did some amazing stuff on his Instagram with rudiments.
Yeah, no, I saw some. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, amazing, So there's the guys I still see a lot. Fred Thomas, who's a great piano player and bass player, and a few other guys. But the year below me was Kit Dance and James Madron, so that was really important. Like basically from the first day we started playing together. And the year above me was Trish Clues, who I played with for a long time, and tons of other people. Really, it's like that was the whole point. But had I, there was no jazz course in Scotland at the time.
I think I went to London actually studying medicine, but to get into the London scene, I found it. This was like the 80s, but I found it really hard to meet jazz musicians if you didn't know anybody, and going to jam sessions didn't work. Blah, blah, blah. And I ended up meeting people because I started playing with Tommy,
right, and
the rest of the band were based in London, and I kind of that was my way in. But that was in Scotland. I met them. Yeah. I met them playing with the guy in Scotland. But going to college that's huge.
It's the way to get your foot in the door, definitely. And even now, I think, even though like people, it's a bit of a different thing, training to be a musician now. I think, but like people still want to just go to London because there's just more people there. There's a vast population of not just jazz musicians, amazing classical scene, and Cuban.
But you haven't got the folky scene, though, have you?
The what? Sorry.
The folky scene.
There's some folky stuff, but
it's not.
There'll be a bit of Irish stuff, and there'll be a bit of.
It's not the same though, is it?
Well, do you want a controversial opinion for the podcast?
Go on.
Not a big fan of folk music. Not a massive.
Calum Gourlay.
That doesn't turn me. I mean, it's just.
I love it when Helena Kay said that she saw all other saxophone players as the enemy. That was one of the highlights of the podcast when she said that. And you can tell she was joking, but there was a little bit behind that. Who said, "Yeah." I think everybody has these sort of darker recesses of their brain where they think stuff like that. Well, the thing is, the jazzers in Edinburgh used to think that, And in the 90s, there was a bit of a direct war going on because we were losing gigs to folk sessions in pubs, because they would just pay 2 musicians and then they would get all these musicians for free. But then we started hanging out, learning folk music, and it all changed completely.
Right.
And it was partly because the folkies were really fun and they partied way harder than we did, and there was a lot more women, and they were also fantastic musicians. And there was this band called Giant Stepping Stones with Tommy Smith was in it, Colin Steele, Kevin McKenzie, me, my brother, Gina, my wife, John Ray, who else? Tommy Smith, all learning traditional music.
Right, okay.
And we all kind of fell in love with traditional music at that point, having thought it was shit before that.
Right.
And then I got to play with people like Martin Bennett and really great players. And I think that I
love Martin Bennett's stuff, actually. Yeah.
I was kind of slightly joking earlier on, but I do think it's one of the unique things about the Scottish jazz scene is that it's very, very close to the traditional music scene here, and that's a real beautiful thing.
Right, okay, yeah.
And you get to play with some incredible players.
I hear you, and that's like, that's as close as I get to folk music now, is playing music with people who that it has a heavy influence on,
Right.
And actually, here I heard, I heard you play Paul Tandrow's band last night, and that was interesting. The whistle stuff. I can take it in that context, but I don't know. It just never. I mean, maybe it's from, doing a Cayley every Saturday night when I was like 16 or something. And not really my,
But you were telling me, I don't know if this is cool to bring it up, but you were telling me that your mum was Gaelic speaker.
Yeah.
And then she ended up, she kind of didn't teach you Gaelic initially.
Yeah.
And I think there's no obligation for Scottish musicians to include Scottish music in what they do. But I remember doing a masterclass at Birmingham, and there was this guy. You probably know this guy. He's a bass player from Orkney. He was studying at Birmingham.
I can't remember. I can't think who that would be.
And I said to him, "Look, man, the jazz world is really competitive, and you being from Orkney is very unique. And if you don't use that as part of your musical identity, then you're missing out on something that makes you different than from someone that grows up in Birmingham or
Yeah.
And do you know Norman Wilmore?
Yeah.
I think he's fucking wonderful.
Yeah, he's badass. Yeah.
And he's got this. He can really play bebop. He can really play free, but he really understands traditional music. Yeah. So I think it's kind of. I don't think for a second that Scottish jazz musicians have to do it at all, and it's everyone's right to just think I'm not interested in that. But I do think it's something we can do to make us different.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, and you don't need to look too far for a comparison, do you? Mingus is heavily influenced by all the music he heard in his life. For example, all the gospel stuff, and massively into classical stuff, but also, African American heritage of music. He's sort of like it's in lots of jazz musicians already, isn't it?
Sure.
The thing that they. That all the people who are from New Orleans, right? They have a certain thing, and all the guys who are from.
They have this authenticity as well.
All the guys who are from Philly, who went to, like Hank Jones, Elvin Jones, Thad Jones, all those guys. They've got something.
All the guys from Fife.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's all these killing people from Fife.
Yeah.
Of course, there's you. Who else?
Yeah, I know what you mean. That folk music is like, we should all be looking for things, and definitely looking to our heritage, but I don't know. Maybe I'll go through. Maybe my next album will be a massive folk.
Well, don't do it just because I said something.
And I don't like that. I don't like it because I bet there is really nice, really amazing stuff out there. But
do you think if you were like 18 now, would you still go to London or would you study up here?
I'd probably stay. I would have probably, if the course had been there, I probably would have stayed and gone to the RCS with Tommy.
Yeah.
But I was already playing with Tommy. That's the thing. I felt like, when I moved to London, everyone had been to like a Saturday morning, like quite elite thing, like Junior Academy or like Junior Guildhall, and I didn't do that. But I did. But for me, that my equivalent was playing with Tommy all the time, pretty much.
Yeah.
We did quartet things. I played in his youth band. We even did duo gigs. We did a couple of duo gigs, just me and Tommy.
Yeah.
So like that was my.
I did a Zero gig with him once on Isla.
Oh yeah, I've heard that story before.
Yeah,
actually.
I'm actually telling it in the podcast.
Oh
so
great.
I only did the one. I got fired. Well, you know, I got fired. Yeah. You don't get a second chance if you miss the ferry. Fair enough.
Oh,
there's a singer that I used to work with. I worked for him for a long time, and we had 2 gigs in this pizza restaurant in Glasgow, 2 Saturdays, and I forgot about the second one. And I think he thought I was late, so he didn't phone me until the interval.
Right.
By which time I was too late to get there. And he said, "Well, where are you?" And I said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." I think I had a young baby at the time, and I was just sitting at home watching TV, and I kind of went, "I'm so sorry, I fucked it. I just forgot." And he never booked me again. Never, not once.
Dear.
It was like boom, and I think that's fair enough. You know?
Yeah.
It's a professional.
Yeah.
It's a profession,
Yeah.
and that is unprofessional. So
But you asked about London. Like, London can be a bit cutthroat like that.
sure.
You know, you can just definitely that's happened to me before. Or just you know, you just get unbooked from something. You just disappear. You're on one gig, you know, with a band of people you know, and then there's some other gigs flash up on somewhere, and you're not on them, and you sort of disappear like. You know, in
Somebody else's.
yeah, you know, in like Back to the Future when there's have the Polaroid picture,
And he disappears.
Yeah,
through.
they sort of, that's how you know you sort of fade away like that. It's a bit like that, you know.
Well, that was one of the. I mean, I think drummers and bass players in particular, we're the most vulnerable to that, and that's one of the reasons why I started leading bands, because it meant I could hire people that I wanted to play with, so I didn't have to wait for them to ask me.
Yeah.
And it also means you kind of got some control over things rather than you sitting there waiting for the phone to ring or not ring or.
Yeah. No, that is yeah. And also you can sack them, you know.
Yeah. Well, that yeah.
You have the power.
I did sack. I did sack. Well, there was one musician that I'm not going to name, but he told me he was having a real problem with this other musician in the band, and he couldn't deal with it, and he didn't want to play anymore. So I thought he'd resigned from the gig.
Right. But he was actually saying, "Can you please sack this
Exactly.
other guy?" Right.
And so when I accepted his resignation, in his mind, I sacked him.
Right. Okay.
And then apparently I sent him as a joke, I sent him a card saying, "You're sacked," which I thought was really, really funny. And it turns out it really pissed him off.
Oh God.
So I don't actually remember doing that, but Kevin McKenzie, it wasn't Kevin McKenzie, but he told me that he'd seen it in the guy's house.
Right. Okay.
And,
Framed in the toilet.
we're now cool. Everything's cool. So. Well, that's beautiful. That's really been cool. I kind of. What's next for you? I mean, you seem to. I was watching you play on Friday night with Helena, and well, that was a fantastic gig.
Oh yeah, great.
Pete Johnston, you, Helena Kay, the incredible Stephen Henderson, and I just sort of thinking the quality of players to the Scottish scene now. This is real world class shit, and you're sitting there like this sort of bass Yoda guys holding it all down. There's something about really great bass players where they just sort of hug the music and make everybody feel safe. And I think you have that in spades, and it's like
I think I heard or read an interview with Dennis Irwin. Did you ever hear that guy, bass player?
was he playing with Schofield?
Played with Sco, played with Mel Lewis.
Right, yeah,
Played with everyone really.
Yeah. Bill Stewart, he played with
yeah,
Colo,
yeah, just an absolute New York badass, you know. And he describing his own approach and he said exactly that thing. He said, "I like my sound to feel like a big hug, you know,
right,
around myself and around the music, something along those things." And yeah, it's like a bit of tractor noise, but we're in either. So you know, it's a good analogy to use.
But do you think of that in your head? I'm going to hug this music.
I think I think of that in terms of like making a sound on the bass. Yeah, I got the. I try and play in that way that I can feel like the sound coming out and coming around the room and around other people, and just communicating with them in that way. You know, communicating with that big hug of a sound. You know, I do. That's like if I had to put like, you know, my own playing under the microscope. Definitely my sound is the my favourite thing
Yeah.
about my playing. And I think you should like your own playing. You know, it's okay to be self-deprecating. That's good. But like, you know, I think that's the first and most like interesting thing about my playing. And then like all the rest of it is like kind of comes from other sources, other people. You know.
Well, here's what this is more. Obviously, I'm asking more questions, but something I've been thinking about is, as a drummer, it's interesting. There's a point when there's a point in your career when you tend to play with not great bass players, which is actually really fucking hard.
Yeah.
And then you start, as you get better or things go better, you start playing with really good basses and good bass players, and it gets a lot easier. But there's this thing about I need to know what you think about this. There's this thing about whose time you're playing, because I think sometimes rhythm sections, everybody, if there's a really strong bass player, everyone just plays his time or her time.
Sure.
Whereas and then if you're used to playing with a bass player in that kind of way, if you suddenly play with a bass player that's not got a really strong time, suddenly you feel exposed. Whereas I think I'm increasingly trying to play my own time. I play a lot with really good bass players that have strong time, so I could just play their time, but I'm trying to play my time. And there's some situations where you're in a group where you think, I need to be that guy that's kind of setting everything, and they're going to play off me. Do you think of it that way?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Yeah, there's definitely a sort of like there's like a spectrum of drummers, right? In lots of ways. That word applies to drummers, definitely. So there's like babysitters. I don't mean that in a bad way. There's people who like look after you, you know, maybe Philly Joe Jones is one of those people. He's always really clear what he's doing.
And he takes you home after the gig, and
and he tells everything's okay, you know, gives you free whiskey. And there's that kind of person, right? And I like playing with those kind of people, because you can, as soon as they start playing, you're like, okay, they do this, you know. Other end of the spectrum, there's people like, I don't know, maybe like Paul Motion, Elvin Jones, you know, people who are not, they're
challenging you.
Yeah, they're going to do their thing no matter what you do. So it's up to you to, you know. And I've been really lucky to play with a couple of people who are, you know, much, you know, older than either of us, and you know, they've like, well, I can name him. Jeff Williams, an amazing drummer who I've been lucky to play with a lot for a lot of years, and he was in New York in the 60s playing drums, and you know, he's like the closest I'll get to playing with Elvin or somebody like that, you know. So when I first started playing them, I was really, really young and really green, and I didn't really know how to do it. Yeah. And so it was over the years, it's become this thing of like, it's still a challenge, but it's,
you have to play your own time.
Well, the funny thing with Jeff was like, I could be really solid, you know, and try and like sit in the middle of the time and in the middle of the music and like try and hold it down, and that would work. Or I could go with him, you know, if he like go with his time, like really try and hook up with him, you know. I mean, he's got amazing time, but he is like he does play loose, you know. He does play like organic, you know. It does flow. So I could do either of those things, and it worked with Jeff. Yeah. And it took me a while to sort of get my head around that, you know, because he is such a master. Really, it's like anything will work. He'll make anything work, because he's played with more bass players than I will ever play with drummers, you know. It's like, it's just he just makes it work. You know? It's like it's a team thing. That's the thing I think that's behind a real amazing rhythm section, is like it's a team. It's two people. Yeah, and
there's something kind of really deep about. I mean, I've had two experiences very recently. One was recording in a barn with my brother Phil and Mario Caribé, and the sound was a particular kind of sound where you could sort of hear everybody, but you couldn't quite hear it really directly.
Yeah, it's not really close up.
So you had to kind of play in your own.
Stretch your ears out a bit.
Or just sort of play in your own little space, and then you could hear them being in their little space, but you were kind of just. And then finally last night, I was playing in the Attic with Pete Johnston on Hammond organ. He was doing the bass pedal thing, and there was no sound check and no rehearsal. And we got there, and the audience were all sitting there. I had to set up, and then just boom, straight into it. And everybody else was mic'd up, and I wasn't mic'd up. So I was thinking, I've got to play quite big here, because they're all mic'd up. And then initially, it was really hard to hear his bass pedals, especially when the tempo was sound was really crazy,
Yeah,
and especially when things are a bit faster.
And those organ things that they don't have a sharp attack,
Yeah,
do they?
and it was doing this weird kind of boomy thing under the stage, so it was just like when it got faster, it was like whoa, whoa. There was no rhythm information at all in the bass. But what happened was, it was a great example of I just had to play on my own time. I couldn't play with Pete at all because there was nothing to play with in terms of the bass. But we played for an hour and a half or something. And then by the last 20 minutes, it was totally fucking together. And it was like all of our brains had somehow processed this acoustic and started to read. It was incredible.
Yeah.
How suddenly it became so easy to play.
I think that's what made someone like Jeff such a badass. Is like he's just so used to it, like any play in any space, any acoustic, crap sound, whatever. You know, he would just. There's that generation of guys. They just made it work. They'd done more gigs than you could imagine. Really.
Yeah, right.
So they're just like no situation is gonna, like
phase them.
Yeah.
I mean, I think last night genuinely, even 5 years ago, would have fucking completely freaked me out, and I would have just had a nightmare.
Right.
Because it was just, just sonically so fucked up.
Well, it sounds like you totally did the right thing. You became a babysitter drummer for a while. You're just like, it's going to be really clear what I do.
Yeah.
For the first part of this thing, until we figure out the crazy sound. For the first part of this gig, I'm just gonna. This is how I'm gonna to take care of business.
Yeah, I think you just have to go. I'm gonna lay this down, so you have to come to me because I can't hear fucking anything what you're doing. So if that's just the best way to do this. Yeah, I know. I think that's totally it. Yeah. And then and there was this point when that thing when it just everyone's. I mean, if it happens a lot of gigs, everyone's totally becomes unified somehow. Yeah, it's beautiful. And there's probably a neuroscientific. There's this thing called entrainment, which is the brain does when it tunes into pulse and tempo and things, and it just kind of there's things going on actually in your brain that's in sync with what's going on. Right. And I think that happens to musicians. They kind of become in sync somehow. Yeah. And they're just working as one unit. It's quite amazing. Yeah. They become this sort of super organism. I've had that. I have that with a few bands in my life where we get so used to playing with each other that it just becomes another easy thing. Another difficult thing becomes easy, if you see what I mean. Right. So like you can, I remember playing with Kit and James. We went away for a week somewhere, to Germany or something, and it was great. I had a great time, played great music, and really fun. And then you come back and you start playing with other people who are, maybe better musicians or certainly better than me, And you think, why are they not listening to me properly or something? Because you're not in sync yet. Yeah, but you can get in sync with them as well. Yeah, but it's a funny thing. So yeah, Kit's band's a bit, and playing with Helen is a bit like that now. Actually, it's a bit like we don't have to worry about some of the details, because it all sort of always sound good on some level. I thought you sounded great on Friday. It was really top quality shit. Oh man, top shit. It's a great gig. All right, man. I think that's plenty to podcast up. Fantastic. It's been nice. Yeah, it's getting to that time of year again. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the awards, and I hope you enjoyed the interview with Calum Gourlay, and hope you have a wonderful Christmas, and we'll see you next year in 2025. Hopefully lots more music, a lot more interviews with interesting jazz musicians who otherwise no one's going to interview. And keep sending in your comments and questions and all the rest. Thanks very much. Happy Christmas!